So good afternoon, everyone. I am Vivian May de la Cruz, and we are the group 2. And for today's topic, we have here the nature of leadership and approaches to leadership styles, which is the subtopic of the main topic, leadership. So before I moved on to the report proper of our group, let me first share several terminologies that includes leadership. So leadership, it is the ability to inspire, influence, and guide others towards achieving shared goals and objectives. It also involves setting clear vision, motivating and empowering others, making sound decisions, and fostering a positive and collaborative environment. Next is effective leadership. So effective leadership encompasses a range of traits and skills. It includes communication, empathy, integrity, resilience, and strategic thinking. So leaders may always emerge at all levels of an organization and can have a profound impact on individual and collective performance, organizational culture, and overall success. So next, for the next terminology is the nature of leadership. So nature of leadership refers to the fundamental characteristics, qualities, and principles that define leadership as a concept and a practice. It usually encompasses the essence of what it means to lead effectively, including traits, behaviors, and skills exhibited by successful leaders, as well as the underlying theories, principles, philosophies that inform leadership approaches. So understanding the nature of leadership involves studying its various dimensions such as vision, communication, influence, decision making, and ethical considerations to comprehend how individuals inspire and guide others towards their shared goals and objectives. Now, let us proceed to the next terminology, which is um the approaches to leadership styles. So the approaches to leadership styles refers to the different methods or frameworks through which leaders rather approach their roles and interact with their teams. These approaches encompasses various theories, models, and philosophies that how leaders lead and manage others. Some of these approaches to leadership styles includes trait trait approach, contingency approach, behavioral approach, transformational leadership, transactional leadership, servant leadership, and authentic leadership, and etc. So now let us proceed to the report proper. So now let us proceed with the group reporters. So for the group reporters, we have Mr. Jeric P. Padilla, Mr. Joey Boy A. Espanyo, and Miss Princess Nessie D. Antonio. Now, let us proceed to the first subtopic of our report. So for the first subtopic of our report, we have here the basis of power. So what is basis of power? So basis of power is defined as the source or foundations from which individual or either a group derives influence over the other people. So for the basis of power, we have here the 6 main basis of power, which is the legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, informational power, expert power, and referent power. So for an in-depth discussion, let us proceed to the next few slides. So first, we have here the legitimate power. So this power is defined as a person who occupies higher position. They have legitimate power over persons in lower positions within the organization. So yung legitimate power is sila yung merong may higher position. Kagaya na lang sa Katsu. So sa Katsu, syempre may legitimate power si Pres Asansa kaysa sa mga vice presidents vice presidents ng academic affairs, internal affairs, kung and in the organization naman, in the company, syempre merong legitimate power yung CEO over the managers and other subordinates. So when it comes to the second basis of power, we have the reward power. So yung reward power naman, ito is if a person has the ability to give rewards to anybody who follows orders or requests. So it may be identified into two forms, which is the material and physical. So yung reward power, kagaya ang mga nakapagbibigay noon is, for example, sa company, yung managers, di ba kaya niya magbigay ng position, job offering, yung mga gifts, yan yung example nun, yung managers. Sa school naman, kaya niya yung professors, may reward power din sila minsan. 'Di ba yung professors minsan if you excel in recitations or you have passed a really good project, they can give plus points. So now let us proceed to the two forms of reward power, which is the material reward. Yung material reward, for short, ito yung mga nahahawakan, which is kagaya na lang kapag merong kapag mga Christmas party, kasi nga maganda yung sales and feedback ng company for this year. Di ba, nagkakaroon ng Christmas party. Usually, yung mga bosses, they give appliances, money, yung mga 14-month pay, mga ganon. It is the material reward, nahahawakan. Yung physical reward naman, ito yung mga psychological rewards, which is yung mga recognition, praises, yung mga satisfaction, ganun siya, yung naiisip ay yung hindi siya nahahawakan. Yung mga example nun is kagaya na lang pag nagbibigay yung prof ng ng mga praises kapag tayo ay pag maganda yung mga natin, yung mga recitations or yung mga projects. So in the company naman, if yung mga specific reward, ang kadalasang nagbibigay noon is yung mga managers, they gave certificate, yung mga pero ang certificate of appreciation kasama siya sa materials pero yung mga praises rewards under siya ng physical form ng reward power. So another one is yung coercive power. Yung coercive power, it defines when a person compels another to comply with orders through threats or punishment. So ano ba yung mga example na nun? Kagaya na lang ng power ng mga police. They have the coercive power to enforce law to other people if hindi susunod sa Philippine law. Then, ano pa ba? Yung mga army, they also have the coercive power over other people if they do not follow yung orders. Sa army, usually, kapag kunyari, mas mataas yung rango mo, or ikaw, yung may mga subordinates ka na hinahandle dun sa if hindi sila nag-follow ng orders, pwede silang parusahan or bigyan ng mga punishment like push-ups, yung mga iba't iba pang exercises, yung running a mile, mga ganon. Ganun yung mga binibigay. Sila yung mga example ng coercive power. Yung mga police, yung mga armies. Sila yung mga kadalasan nag-enforce ng law in our country. Then, yung referent power naman is when a person can get compliance from another because the latter would want to be identified with the former. So, ano-ano nga ba yung example nito? So, yung referent power arises siya from the ability of a person to attract others and build loyalty, based on interpersonal relationships, yung charisma, or identification within the individual. So it is a form of influence that is strongly based on a personal attraction and the ability to inspire admiration or emulation from the others. So ano-ano yung mga examples nun? Example is a popular celebrity that may have referent power, as fans may be influenced or inspired by their style, behavior, lifestyle, or their movies or their drama acting skills. So, ano pa yung isang example? A charismatic leader within a community that may possess referent power in inspiring trust, loyalty among the community members who identify with or admire them. So next is yung expert power. Expert power. So it is defined as it provides specialized information regarding their specific lines of expertise that is possessed by people with great skills and technology. So example of this is our professors. They have the bachelor's degree, master's degree, and other workshops attended to teach us and give specialized information regarding our programs. What are the other examples? We have the doctors who has expert power over their patients because they have mastered for years about their specialization to provide legit informations and cures and mga reseta for their patients. So let us proceed to the next slide. So for the next slide, we have here the nature of leadership. Yung nature ng leadership, hindi mo ine-expect na ma-achieve ang objectives kahit pa gaano kagaling yung unit or division or group na hinahandle mo if there is no effective leadership. So, oo nga, kahit present yung leader, if he or she is not functioning properly, walang ma-achieve na objectives coming from those division or organizations. Ayun yung nature ng leadership. So now, let us proceed with the next slides. So, ano-ano nga ba yung traits para masabing effective ang leaders? So first, we have the high level of personal drive, the desire to lead, personal integrity, self-confidence, analytical ability, or judgment, knowledge of the company, industry, or technology, charisma, creativity, and flexibility. And for the first traits of an effective leader, we have here the high level of personal drive. So it defines us persons with drive or those identified to accept responsibility, possess vigor, initiative, persistence, and help. So ano nga ba yung example ng high level of personal drive? So sinasabi na yung drive, very important siya as a leadership trait. Kasi there is always the possibility of failure in every attempt to achieve certain goals. So if meron kang high level of personal drive, you will choose to reach goals that is not successful. Maghahanap ka ng another way to reach it, even if it precedes a succession of failed attempts. Yung mga leader na hindi sumusuko is sila yung identified as they have high level of personal drive. Kasi pag wala kang personal drive, like kahit 2 to 3 failures lang, susuko ka na. Pero pag may high level of personal drive ka, kahit ano pa siya, preceding of failed attempts, lagi kang hahanap at hahanap ng way kasi nga mataas yung drive mo towards your initiatives. Then next is yung desire to lead. So yung leaders with a desire to lead will always have a reservoir of extra efforts which can be used whenever needed. So next is yung personal integrity. So sunod is yung personal integrity. For me, it is one of the most crucial traits of an effective leader. So, ano nga ba yung integrity? Personal integrity, it involves aligning your actions with your values and principle. So, sinasabi na one who does not have personal integrity will always have a hard time convincing his subordinates about necessity of completing various tasks. So, ano nga ba yung example ng mga personal integrity? It involves honesty, reliability, accountability, fairness, respect, authenticity, and consistency. So, pag wala yung mga leader ng personal integrity, mahihirapan silang i-command ang isang unit or isang group. So, an example of personal integrity within an organization could be a scenario where an employee discovers a mistake and a financial report that could potentially benefit them personally if left uncorrected. However, yung employee chooses to immediately report the error to their supervisors, even though it may reflect poorly on their performance or administration, or require additional work to rectify it. So these kinds of actions demonstrates personal integrity by prioritizing honesty, accountability over the personal gains. So yan yung yung mga example ng personal integrity. Then ano pa ba? Example nito is in the schools. So if ever kunyari may nagreklamo sa guidance counselor or or sa or sa discipline office. Kapag may nagreklamo students about sa professor, even though the counselor is friends with the teacher or yung staff na nirereklamo, if the counselor chooses to investigate correctly and ilapat yung nararapat na punishment doon sa staff if napatunayang totoo over choosing the friendship with that staff, it is called personal integrity. It reflects accountability, it reflects fairness and equality. So for the next, we have here the self-confidence. So in any field or in any situation, self-confidence is always the key. It is the step of conceptualizing, organizing, and implementing will be completed if sustained efforts are made. So for the moves to be conscious and precise, self-confidence is always necessary. Self-confidence to the point na wag namang arrogance. Self-confidence is So, self-confidence stems from an objective thinking. So, if meron kang trust dun sa sinasabi mo at sa mga, no, not from objective thinking only. It stems from knowledge and in the readings as well. So, if meron kang trust dun sa mga sinasabi mo, ginagawa mo, you have the self-confidence. Ano ba yung mga nagpapaboost ng self-confidence? We have the public speaking, mga plays, role plays, and etc. So next is the traits of an effective leader is analytical ability. So for the analytical ability, it is the ability to analyze is one desirable trait that a leader that can use to tide him over many challenging aspects of leadership. So ano-ano nga ba yung mga examples ng data analysis? So we have here, kunyari, yung marketing an analyst nag-examines ng customer data to identify trends in purchasing behavior and uses these insights to develop targeted marketing campaigns. So the analytical ability includes data analysis. That is example for data analysis. Next is yung problem solving. For example, yung engineer, troubleshoot niya yung technical issue by systematically breaking down yung mga problems, analyzing and weighing the potential causes, and devising a solution based on unavailable data and objective thinking. Then, kasama din dyan yung financial analysis, market research, and yung risk assessment and performance evaluation. Yan yung mga yan yung mga ini-include ng analytical ability. So next, we have the knowledge of the company, industry, or technology. So it is said that a leader who is well informed about his company, the industry where the company belongs, and the technology utilized by industry will be in a better position to provide direction to his unit. So kahit naman sa anong field, knowledge is power. So if a leader is knowledgeable about the environment that he is in together with his subordinates, lagi siya makakagawa ng mga well-informed decisions and lagi siya makakapag-share ng mga legit informations. So for the next topic, we have for the next traits of effective leaders, we have Miss Princess Nasi Antonio to discuss it in depth.
So for another traits of effective leaders, charisma. When a person has sufficient personal magnetism that leads people to follow his directives, this person is said to have charisma. So here, I think it is not literally that a leader must be a good-looking one or have a strong appeal, but we could look into charisma's bigger picture. So in charisma, there is so-called charismatic leadership. So charismatic leadership is a leadership style that involves a leader's ability to use communication skills, storytelling, empathy, and persuasiveness to boost morale and inspire others to action. And also emotionally resonate with followers, making them feel motivated even in the face of adversity. So a leader must build connection with his members. So si leader, maaari siyang mag-share ng experiences and learnings about his career. Kasi dito mag-start na mag-open up ang members. What I'm trying to say is, once na magkaroon ng conversation between leader and its members, dito na mag-start na makilala ni leader si member and vice versa. And another thing is, si leader, maaari din or kailangan niya ring i-build ang interpersonal relationship sa kanyang members. Kasi dito, mas magiging malawak yung pag-unawa and pagkakilala niya sa kanyang members. Kasi talking about interpersonal relationship, it's not just inside the organization. Kasi makakapag-build din kayo ng friendship outside the organization. So I think companies and other groups, they used to conduct team building para magkaroon ng mag-build ng friendship and magkaroon ng strong bond ang leader and also its members. So here in charisma, a leader must be clear with his desired goals to be able to drive his group into success. So example here sa charisma, si Mayor Vico Soto ng Pasig City. I admire his leadership kasi despite his age, for he is the youngest mayor in Metro Manila, marami na siyang na-achieve and nagawa para sa Pasig. So one of the highlights of achievements na nagawa niya is about education and technology. So this is based from a reliable source that I browsed on internet. The local government raised 1.2 billion pesos to purchase laptops and tablets for public school students and teachers, bridging gaps in distance education. So yeah, with this technology advanced society, these laptops and tablets are really useful kasi um, nagkakandak pa rin talaga ng distant learning in all schools or university. So I think even in this small act, though it's not really small act kasi hindi rin naman madali paglabas ng pera. But I think it is part of his campaign naman before siya maging mayor. So he's just fulfilling his promises to its community. So going local naman, sa Katsu, another example is si President Asansa. So si Prescott, ang nakikita ko sa yung charisma uh, of being a effective leader is he looks for partners or nakikipag-communicate siya sa mga partners, gumagawa siya ng partnership sa iba't ibang mga agency na para makatulong sa ating university for the development of services and infrastructure. So I am not going to mention some of these projects since it is just based on my observation. So yeah. Next is creativity. So Ronnie Melevo defines creativity as the ability to combine existing data, experience, and preconditions from various sources in such a way that the results will be subjectively regarded as new, valuable, and innovative, and as a direct solution to an identified problem situation. So an example here is for us, BSCP for students, we have a thesis. So at the beginning, we found ourselves groupmates and mag-start mag-brainstorm ng ideas kung ano ba yung magandang gawin. So we think of an innovation or development. So there are groups choose systems and devices. So with our creative mindset, we could benefit our university and community for, yeah, it is part of the agenda naman talaga. So in creativity, for it is part of traits of effective leaders. Kasi yung pagiging creative ng leader, hindi hindi yun magiging uh, halimbawa, there is a problem encountered inside the company. Si leader, kailangan niya maging practical. So, kailangan niya mag-isip kung ano ba yung dapat maging solution sa situation na yon. So, yeah. Next is flexibility. So, people differ in the way they do their work. One will adapt a different method from another person's method. A leader who allows this situation as long as the required outputs are produced are said to be flexible. So sa flexibility naman, a leader must consider his members' capabilities. Dapat hindi siya mag-set ng boundaries for them. Instead, i-acknowledge niya kanyang members na mag-excel and mag-aim higher. Kasi there are people talaga na slow ang progress. So, for example, si employee A, he is good in graphic design. So, magaling siya gumamit ng mga AutoCADs, ganyan. And si employee B, medyo slow siya. Slow siya mag-catch ng mga ganong klaseng gawain. So, si employee B, maaari siyang matuto kay employee B. So, si leader, dapat maging observant din siya. What I mean is, pwedeng magkaroon ng collaboration within their organization para matulungan kung sino yung mga employee na slow to catch kasi natural na din naman talagang merong mga ganun. So, dapat si leader, i-allow niya yung mga helping hands, yung mga collaboration para maging magaan din yung trabaho inside this organization. So, yeah. Next is leadership skills and their uses at various management levels. So if we could look into this picture, these are the degree of skills needed from the lower, middle, and up to the top management level. These human, conceptual, and technical skills are really needed. So if you could observe that technical skills claims the uh, bigger proportion in this graph. So yeah, we could discuss these skills further to the next topic. So yeah, these are the skills that a leader must have to become an effective one. So first is technical skills. So these are skills a leader must possess to enable him to understand and make decisions about work processes, activities, and technology. Technical skill is a specialized knowledge needed to perform a job. So technical skills are essential abilities and knowledge required to perform specific tasks. They often relate to mechanical, information technology, mathematical, or scientific tasks. So, for example, is sa sa engineering program. So, computer engineering program. There are hardware and software part. So, there are students na mas nag-excel sa hardware part. So, example nito is merong student na makita niya lang yung halimbawa, yung system, yung computer system, hindi siya nagdi-display. So, makita niya lang yun, alam niya na kung ano yung problem and alam niya rin kung ano yung dapat na maging solusyon. So, maybe walang display kasi hindi properly hindi properly naka-plug in yung VGA or HDMI sa system unit. So, yeah. And another one is software part. So, there are students naman na mas nag-excel sa software part. So, example nito is sa operating system. So, merong mga student na kabisado ang operating systems, especially sa Windows. So, also, and sa mga third-party application. Example ng third-party application is sa for graphic design, AutoCAD, Photoshop, ganyan. Merong mga mas nag-excel sa part na yan. So, another example is, halimbawa sa programming language, there are students that has skills in languages such as Java, Python, C++, or JavaScript. So, they could write efficient and maintainable code and solve problems using algorithms and data structures. And also, yun nga, sa software proficiency, they are familiar with software applications relevant sa kanilang gustong gawin. So yun, Microsoft Office, AutoCAD, and Photoshop are some examples. So, sa mga graphic designers, it is their technical skill na they are really good in using AutoCAD or Photoshop. Like sa pag-design nila ng logo, pag-visualize nila ng mga image and everything. And also, their ability to learn and adapt to new software tools. So, hindi lang doon magpo-fall yung skill nila kasi they still explore for more para ma-enhance yung knowledge nila with that skill. So, yeah. Next. Next is human skills. These skills refer to the ability of a leader to deal with people both inside and outside the organization. Good leader must know how to get along with people, motivate them, and inspire them. So basically, it is you being a human. So yeah, human skills are personal attributes and social graces that allow people to interact effectively with others. They are also known as soft skills. So it includes communication, problem solving, managing relationships, teamwork, leadership, understanding nonverbal cues, empathy, self-awareness, and growth mindset. So I think in these human skills, it all starts with yourself. Kasi once na kilala mo yung sarili mo, magre-reflect ito kung paano mo i-handle ang organization. So if you treat yourself arrogantly, I think it will also reflect to your organization. But everything, lahat naman ay ano, lahat naman ay nababago. So you just have to work it out. So yeah. So here, this part of human skills is understanding nonverbal cues. So example nito is um, meron kang member or employee na bihira siya magsalita. I mean, hindi siya expressive sa kanyang emotions and everything. So, as a leader, um, kailangan mong gumawa ng paraan para malaman kung ano ba yung concern or kung ano yung maaari mong maitulong sa kanya. Kasi uh, it is part of being a leader na uh, tumulong sa iyong members. Ganun. Kasi your members are not just your members. You could treat them as your family. So, yan. Kasi it is just inside your organization lang naman. So yeah, kailangan mong makiramdam para matulungan rin sila kung ano yung kailangan mong gawin. So another one is growth mindset. So a person can improve over time. So yun nga. So example pa rin nito yung mga employee na slow to catch. It takes time naman talaga para matutunan ng isang bagay or anything. It just need prior commitment and focus para mag-excel sa kung ano man yung gusto mong gawin. So yeah, next. Leadership skill is conceptual skills. So these skills refer to the ability to think in abstract terms, to see how parts fit together to form the whole. A leader without sufficient conceptual skills will fail to achieve this. So a conceptual leader can think through their ideas, transforming thoughts into action-driven solutions and benefiting benefiting the organization. So an example of this conceptual skill is if you are aware about the Sesteracas, a film, yeah, Sesteracas, a 2012 Filipino comedy part of film produced by Stars Cinema and Viva Films. So it is a fashion show. May segment doon na si Ai de las Aslas and Vice Ganda na nagkaparehas ng design yung clothing nila, yung damit nila. So si Ai, she works for Chris Aquino's company, yung apparel. So what I have observed in that segment is, although yun nga, um, mismong sa event yon nagka-conflict, nagkaparehas sila ng design out of nowhere, ang ganon. I like the leadership of Ai because um, she works under pressure. So yun, kahit na yung mga kasama niya nagkakagulo na, hindi na alam kung ano yung gagawin, sa Ai, positive pa rin yung mindset niya. She stays optimist with that kind of situation. So nag-isip siya ng paraan kung paano yun maresolbahan. So yun. So yun nga, so part ng conceptual skill. So here, a leader must think outside the box. I mean, halimbawa, hindi lang dapat na porket yung problem na yon is, halimbawa, nasira yung ano mo, yung computer system mo, eh kailangan mo yun. So you have to think kung ano yung dapat mong gawin. Pwede kang pumunta sa ibang laboratory room, doon ka gumawa ng ano mo, ng task mo. Kasi hindi doon mag-stop yung process ng paggawa. Kasi there is always a solution to a problem. You just have to find out what is the best thing to do. So yun. So next. So behavioral approaches to leadership styles. So first is according to ways leaders how approach people to motivate them. And according to the way the leader uses power, and according to the leader's orientation towards tasks and people. So here in according to ways leaders how approach people to motivate them. So it is part of behavioral approaches to leadership style kasi as a leader, kailangan ikaw yung magdala kasi you are the role model of your organization. Kailangan mong um, i-enlighten palagi ang iyong members kasi once na ikaw mismo nakitaan ng weakness, um, I think maaari ding mahawa yung mga members mo. So yun. As a leader, kailangan mo maging strong and mag-stand out kasi you are the driver ng organization mo. So here naman according to the way the leader uses power. So there are leaders kasi na ina-abuse kung anong power ang meron sila. So para maging good leader ka, use your authority, i-balance mo yung paggamit mo ng authority. I mean, you have to make decisions, make actions reasonably kasi your employees naman, they're also observing naman with what you're doing. So you have to be careful in everything you do. And you have to be careful din kung paano mo itrato ang iyong employee. So here naman according to the leader's orientation towards tasks and people. So yun nga, kung paano mo itrato yung mga employee mo, magpo-fall ito kung paano ka rin itatrato ng mga members mo. So if you treat them arrogantly, there are employees naman na kino-consider yung ugali ng kanilang leader. But there are some employees naman na straightforward. Talagang they confront what they observed wrong. Kaya ganun. So leaders must be careful and leaders must have a concrete decision making everything they do. So yeah, next. So here are the ways leaders approach people. So there are two ways how leaders approach people. Positive leadership and negative leadership. So unahin ko na yung negative leadership. So negative leadership when punishment is emphasizes by the leader. So negative leadership is a style where a leader uses destructive strategies. This may include lack of empathy, harsh criticism, micromanagement, verbal abuse, creating a culture of fear and intimidation. Another related concept is toxic leadership, which is selfish abuse of power that harms team members and the workplace. Signs of bad leadership include poor communication, failure to own up to mistakes, not listening to concerns, and creating an intimidating environment. So, an example of negative leadership is uh, meron kang employee na meron kang employee na nag-raise ng concern about halimbawa, laging late yung lunchtime nila. Uh, Siguro part of it is it's lunchtime naman. So they need rest and para makakain din. So nag-raise siya ng concern sa iyo. And ikaw na leader, um, ah, parang in-ignore mo lang yung concern na yun. You're having lack of empathy. So yun. So sa part na yun, I don't think if the employee, um, I don't think how the employee will react. So another example naman is yung sa part ng micromanagement and harsh criticism. So si leader nakapansin siya ng um, parang maling gawa ni employee. And yeah, as a being a bad leader or or being negative leader, napagsabihan mo siya ng sakit na words, parang under the below the belt ng mga ano, ganun. So yun nga, it is also a verbal abuse din. So yun, mag-create ka din ng takot and intimidation inside your organization. And also, poor communication. Yun nga, poor communication and failure to own up to mistakes. Yun nga. Kasi once na hindi ka nakikipag-communicate ng maayos sa iyong employee, hindi mo rin maiintindihan kung ano yung concern nila. Kasi you have you as a leader needs to communicate well with them. Kasi having a conversation with your employee, kahit simple conversation lang yan, maaari mo silang ma-enlighten. Ma-enlighten. So, yeah. And then, failure to own up to mistakes. Example nito is, meron kayong isinagawang event ng company. And then, nakalimutan mong parang magbigay ng updates or tasks sa iyong employees. So, sa event na iyon, parang binunot mo lang yung mga employee mo kung ano dapat gawin, ganito, ganyan. Tapos, mayroong mga nagkamali kasi they are not informed earlier kasi nga, yun nga, it is your lapses din naman. And after that, yung mga employee mo na feel bad kasi yun nga, they make mistake. And ikaw as a leader, hindi mo man lang sila in-approach na it is your fault kasi as a leader, kailangan mo ikaw mismo dapat yung manguna sa lahat ng inyong gagawin. And yung mga employee mo, susundin lang din naman nila kung ano yung ipapagawa mo. So, yun. So, yeah, that's for the negative leadership. So, for the positive leadership naman, when the leader's approach emphasizes rewards. So, positive leadership is an essential aspect of effective management and team guidance. It includes, sorry. It includes authenticity or genuine leaders who stay true to themselves and their values. And transformational leadership, inspiring and motivating others toward a shared vision. And charisma, the ability to influence and engage through personal magnetism. Servant leadership, prioritizing the well-being of team members, and spiritual leadership, integrating personal values and purpose into leadership. So first key kay positive leadership is authenticity. So from the very start naman, si leader as a positive leader, as a good leader, um, parang i-shinare niya na ibinahagi niya na sa kanyang employee kung ano ba yung desired goal niya. So yeah. And next is transformational leadership, inspiring and motivate others toward a shared vision. So yun nga. Sa company na merong good communication, maaaring mag-share ng thoughts, knowledge, and everything ang employee and leader. So yun, si leader, maaaring niyang i-inspire ang kanyang employee and ang kanyang employee maaaring ding i-inspire ang kanyang leader. So here in Charisma, so yeah, the ability to influence and engage through personal magnetism. So I will highlight the interpersonal relationship. Kasi once na kilala mo o mas malalim yung pagkakakilanlan mo sa iyong employee, magiging magaan lang din yung pakikipag-usap o pakikipag-communicate mo sa kanila. So, servant leadership, prioritizing the well-being of team members. Team members. So, we have a saying na uh, a good leader is also a good follower. So, yeah, servant leader ka. Hindi mo itinitreat, hindi mo ikiniklaim ang sarili mo as a boss alone, but also a servant. So you also serve for your employee. Uh, you also serve for your employee. And tinitreat mo sila as your family. And yung mga concerns nila, ginagawan mo ng paraan kung paano yun mareresolvehan. So also is spiritual leadership, integrating personal values and purpose into leadership. So yun, may in-depth na ugnayan ka na sa iyong members. And your members, alam nila kung ano yung responsibilities nila within that organization. So example ng positive leadership is sa isang company, si leader, lagi siyang nagbibigay ng time or attention sa kanyang employee para makapag-share, usap-usap sila. Kasi doon din magsa-start yung yung magsa-start yung ng employee. Halimbawa, si employee, may gusto siyang i-suggest or i-recommend na idea kay employee, kay leader. Kasi may project kayong gustong gawin sa company nyo. So, yan, like the board meetings, yeah. Sa mga board meetings, doon nag-uusap-usap ang lahat ng sa company. So, maaari mag-raise ng concern, ng suggestions, and suggestion with all the freedom. Kasi, yun nga, it is part of positive leadership na ina-allow mo ang employee mo na mag-excel. Hindi ka nagsiset ng boundaries ka kanila. Kasi, once nag-set ka ng boundaries sa kanila, malilimit mo kung ano yung kakayahan talaga ng iyong employee. And it is a negative part kasi malay mo, yung employee mo yan, yun pa yung makapagdagdag ng achievement sa company mo. So, yun. So, I think In positive and negative leadership, uh, my personal take about these two kind of these two approach these two ways leaders approach people is si negative leadership. There are leaders kasi talaga na um, um, halimbawa, baguhan pa lang sila sa company yun. So, hindi pa sila masyadong nagsasalita and everything. Hindi pa sila nag-express ng ganito, ganyan sa kanilang employees. So, nagiging ano yon nagiging sanhi yun na yung mga employees mo hindi rin makipag-communicate sa'yo. So, I think this negative approach of being a leader naman is bearable. Pwede pang mabago. Um, i- Kailangan lang mag-mindset or i-mindset ng leader na or ma-realize niya at first na there is a need na mag-change ng attitude or behavior sa kanyang leadership. So, kay positive leadership naman, is good since kino-consider niya every aspect ng organization, lalo ang kanyang employee. Sinasaalang-alang niya yung kanyang employee. Kasi dito sa to approach ng leadership, everyone's aware naman that someone could have a good day and bad day. So magma-matter lang kung paano ni leader i-approach si employee na mayroong bad day. So I think kay negative leadership, it may be selfish, careless kasi yun nga, um, poor yung communication skills niya and hindi niya kilala talaga ang kanyang employee. So maaaring may treat niya ito ng harsh and everything. So si positive leadership naman, maaaring yung employee niyang mayroong bad day, ano niya pa ito, may light up niya pa yung day na yun. May light up pa ng employee, ng leader yung day ni employee kasi maaari niya itong bigyan ng advice or anything. So, another approach sa positive leadership is, yun nga, emphasizes rewards. So, rewards, hindi rin, ang rewards is like, it could be a matter or tangible objects, tangible things, and also pleasure. Give pleasure sa iyong employee. Halimbawa, si employee naka-hit siya ng um, halimbawa sales, gano'n, sa marketing. Maaari siyang bigyan ng incentive ni leader or ni leader. So for the ano naman, another is, it is a pleasure both kay leader and employee na nakapag-contribute siya sa company. So, yun. So, to discuss the ways leaders uses power, Mr. Joey Boy Espana is going to discuss further these ways leaders uses powers. So, thank you.
Hello, today we're going to discuss about the ways leaders use powers. One is the autocratic leader. Leaders who make decisions themselves without consulting subordinates' motivation takes the form of threat, punishments, and intimidation of all tasks. So the autocratic leaders make decisions independently. Exercises strict control tsaka expect ng compliance galing sa team members. So quick decision makings but may lead to resentment and lack of trust. Second one is the participative leader. When a leader openly invites his subordinates to participate or share in decision, policy making, and operational method, he is said to be participative leader. So it encourages active participation and pakikipagtulungan mula sa mga team members na sa decision making. So nilalaman ang mga iba't ibang mga perspective and fosters a sense of ownership within the team. So slower decision making but build confidence and support from the team. Three is the free lane leaders. Leaders who set objectives and allow employees or subordinates relative freedom to do whatever it takes to accomplish these objectives are called free lane leaders. So it provides the extensive freedom to team members in a decision making and task execution. So pinahimplaan ang mga empleyado na ilagay ang mga kanilang sariling mga decisions tsaka ano yun, pinapamahalaan na kanilang mga gawain na may guidance and support, promotes autonomy and responsibility within the team, fostering development and innovation. So, pag sa tatlong, the three ways leadership uses powers are leaders is not the one size fits all, and different situations call for a different leadership style. So, by understanding the characteristic of the autocratic, participative, and free reign leaders, leaders can cultivate a flexible and adaptive approach to effectively guide their teams towards success. Leaders' orientations towards tasks and people. One is the employee orientations. A teacher is said to be employee-oriented when he considered employees as human beings of intrinsic importance and with individual and personal needs to satisfy. So, an employee-oriented leaders prioritize the building strong relationship with their team members and focuses on their well-being and development satisfaction. They are empathetic, approachable, and supportive, taking the time to understand the needs and concerns of their employees. Number two, task orientation. A leader is said to be task oriented if he places stress on the production and the technical aspects of the jobs and the employees are viewed as the means of getting the work done. So the task oriented leaders, on the other hand, focus on the primary achieving specific goals and the objective within the organization. They are result-driven, efficient, and focus on the maximizing productivity and performance. Task-oriented leaders prioritize task completion, set clear expectation, establish system and process to streamline workflow. They may be more directive and authoritative of their leadership approach, emphasizing accountability and performance metrics. Contingency approaches to a leadership style. The contingency approach is an effort to determine through research which managerial practice and techniques are appropriate in specific situations. So the contingency approach to leadership acknowledges that there is no one size fits all approach to effective leadership. Instead, it emphasizes the most suitable leadership style depends on the specific situations at hand. This approach aims to determine through the research and analysis which managerial practices and techniques are appropriate to particular circumstances. There are several prominent contingency models that provides the framework of understanding and applying leadership in different situations. So one is the Fiedler's contingency model. So the unemployee-oriented leaders that prioritize building strong relationship with their team members and focus on their well-being, development, and satisfaction. So they are empathetic, approachable, and supportive, taking the time to understand the needs and concerns of their employees. Two is the uh, Hershey's and Blanchard situation leadership model. So that proposed the effective leadership that depends on the readiness and maturity level of the followers. Third is the fat gold model of leadership that is emphasizes the leader's role in clarifying the path to achieve goals, removing obstacles, and providing support to their followers. Fourth is the Rome decision-making model that is focused on their leaders' decision-making style and the level of the followers' participation in the decision-making process. So the Field's contingency models suggest that the leadership effectiveness that depends on the match between the leader's style tsaka sa situational context. So according to these models, the situational characteristics are determined by the three principal factors. So one is the relation between leaders and followers. So these factors refers to the quality of the relationship between the leader and their followers. A high level of trust, respect, and cooperation between the leader and the followers enhance the favorableness of the situations. Second is the structure of the task. Refers to the clarity and specifically of the task or goal that needs to be accomplished in these situations where tasks are clear, well defined, and structures the situations considered favorable. Third one is the power inherent in the leader's position. So it refers to the authority and the influence that this leader possesses within the organization. Leaders with high position power have the ability to reward or punish their followers, allocate their resources, and makes decisions that affects the outcome of the group. So Fried's contingency model suggests that the effectiveness of leadership depends on the fit between the leader style and the situational characteristics. So if the situation does not fit the leaders, several strategies can be considered to change the leader's traits or behavior. That's going to be a number one. So one approach is to attempt to change the leader's traits or behaviors to better align with the situations demand. This may involve providing trainings, coaching, or development programs to enhance the leader's skills and capabilities. So next one is the select leaders who have traits or behavior fitting the situation. So another strategy is to select leaders whose traits or behavior naturally align with the situational characteristics. This approach involves the matching leaders to specific roles or positions based on their inherent strength and capabilities. By selecting the leaders who are well suited to the demands of the situations, organization can be increase the likelihood of success and effectiveness in the leadership roles. So third one is the move leaders around in the organizations until they are in position that fits them. So it organization can also consider reassign or moving leaders to a different position within the organization until they find roles better suited to the styles and capabilities. This may involve transferring leaders to roles with different levels of responsibility, authority, or task structures. Lastly is the change the situations. Organizations can explore options for changing the situational characteristics to better align with the leader's style. This may involve the restructured task roles or processes within the organizations to create a better fit with the leader's strengths and capabilities. By modifying the situational context, organizations can create conditions that support effective leadership and maximize performance.
The Hershey and Blanchard situational leadership model suggests that the most important factor affecting the selection of a leader's style is the development or maturity level of subordinate. The leader should match his or her style to this maturity level. Number one is job skills and knowledge, and two is psychological maturity. The Hershey Blanchard situational leadership says that a leader's most important choice is how they lead, and that choice depends on two things about their team members. The number one, job skills and knowledge. How good are they at their jobs? If they're skilled and know what they're doing, the leader can give them more freedom. Then the psychological maturity are they ready to handle challenges and make decisions on their own? Leaders need to match their leadership style to their team's level of confidence and readiness. In simple terms, it's about adapting your leadership style based on how capable and confident your team is. If they're skilled and mature, you can step up and let them take charge. If they need more guidance, you provide that support. These are the four various maturity level of leadership styles that is appropriate. Number one is directing. It is for people who are competent and are enthusiastically committed. Number two is coaching. It is for people who are competent but lack commitment. Number three is supporting, and it is for people who are competent but lack of motivation. And number four is delegating. It is for people who have both competence and commitment. The figure 8.3 shows the two leadership style. It's the development stage and recommended style. The path goal model of leadership, espoused by Robert J. House and Terence R. Mitchell, stipulates that leadership can be made effective because leaders can influence subordinates' perceptions of their work goals, personal goals, and paths to goal attainment. In simple terms, the theory developed by Robert J. House and Terence R. Mitchell suggests that leadership can be successful because leaders have the ability to impact how their team members see their work objectives, personal aspirations, and the ways to achieve these goals. Essentially, this theory highlights the role of leaders in shaping how their team members view their tasks, their own ambitions, and the routes they take to accomplish their objectives. The Patko model of leadership. By using the Patko model, it assumed that effective leaders can enhance subordinate motivation by clarifying the subordinate's perception of work goals, linking meaningful attainment and rewards with goal, explaining how goals and desired rewards can be achieved. So this is the Patko process. There are four leadership styles. The leadership styles which may be used by path goal proponents are as follows. Directive leadership, where the leader focuses in clear tasks, assignments, standards of successful performance, and work schedules. Two is supportive leadership, where the subordinates are treated as equals in a friendly manner while striving to improve their well being. Three is participative leadership, where the leader consults with the subordinates to seek their suggestions and then seriously considers those suggestions when making decisions. Four is achievement-oriented leadership, where the leaders set challenging goals, emphasize excellence, and seek continuous improvement while maintaining a high degree of confidence that subordinates will meet difficult challenges in a responsible manner. This is the this is the Vroom's decision-making model. It has three styles: autocratic leader, consultative leader, and group directed. The autocratic leader, it is a leader solves the problem or makes the decision himself using available information, and leader obtains necessary information from subordinates, then decides. And the consultative leader, the leader approaches subordinates individually, getting their ideas, then makes decision. And then the leader shares the problem with subordinates as a group, obtaining their collective ideas and suggestions, then decides. The group directed leader shares the problem with subordinates as a group and lets the group generate and evaluate and alternate evaluations of the collective.
So, to sum it all up, leadership is as diverse as the people it serves. It is a symphony of different styles, each is unique and valuable in its own right. whether it is leading with empathy, vision, or resilience. True leadership embraces the beauty of diversity and adapts to meet the needs of those it serves. As the saying goes, different strokes for different folks. In the grandest tapestry of leadership, every thread adds strength and richness, weaving a story of inspiration, innovation, and motivation. As the saying goes, leadership is not about being in charge, but it is all about taking care of those in your charge. Again, we are the group 2, and thank you for listening.